time for chapter 2 of Beldagar, A Dark Eve Story. I am T K Thompson, and I wrote the book. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the first chapter. Also, before we start reading, I have launched 2 books, and that is book 4 of the series. Super pretty. We had to take like 3 photo shoots to get this picture of me, and I swear I drowned so many times. And then the book of Soliticus, awesome little thriller that goes along with book 4. Did I say book 3 earlier? Book 4, this is book 4. And then the book of Soliticus, which is a little thriller that goes along with it. Okay, so go to my website. I put it on the link up there, and get these 2 books, help launch them up onto some higher Amazon ratings for me. And then once you read them, leave reviews. Thanks. So I'm going to continue reading Beldagar. It's a little novella that's also in the Dark Eve series, but it just takes a character from book 3 and is his story. So if you haven't tuned in with us thus far, go back and find the video of chapter 1. All right? Okay, chapter 2 is the mine. The mine opening loomed before Beldagar. He sat on his stone next to a birch tree, allowing every single drop of sun to warm him before the call into work. The precious seconds slipped by. A good 20 feet sat between him and the opening, and yet his eyes tunneled into the cold darkness. The shimmering walls changed from dark gray to pitch black the lower they went. Deep breathing echoed through the tunnels. They said it was just the wind. Chills ran up his spine, causing him to shake even on the warm summer morning. He turned, observing the small grove where the other men waited for the call. Not all of the workers had assembled yet. As usual, he was on time. He dragged every single step there and imagined that his footsteps left dents in the ground. The others finished their packed breakfasts, fastened their boots, and drew close to their coats. He was the only child, and as always, sat on the edges waiting for their movement. He had no coat, no breakfast, and no boots. Looking down at the oversized leather slip-on shoes, he felt jealous as always, thinking of the intense cold. He tucked himself against a tree as his stomach rumbled horribly. He peered back at the light that would soon be banished from him for most of the day. The foreman, Thard, walked into the area, followed by a stream of workers. Beldagar's heart sunk at the sight of the broad, brown-bearded man. His massive jaw overtook his face, making his relentless glare more intense. "To your feet," his gruff voice yelled. All the other workers stood. Beldagar took a few more seconds to sit and absorb the warmth. He caught a stern eye from Thard. He shuddered and jumped up, diverting his gaze to the ground. As he moved into the shadows and lined up, cold bumps rose on his arms. They all shuffled in after the foreman. A strange gust of air blew through the cave opening. Leaves rustled, and deep breathing echoed like thunder. Beldagar halted, glancing around to catch the reactions of the other men. But they all walked on like a thoughtless herd. His heart raced as he edged forward. Instinctively, he felt the urge to bolt. It was just the wind, he assured himself. It's just the wind. A firm glare from Thard made him skip a step. He didn't want any more encounters with the man's massive fists. That was so loud. Oh my gosh, he has his headphones on. He can't even hear me. Sorry. Let's go forward. La, da, 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 da. He didn't want any more encounters with the man's massive fists. He still had burning pains from the leather strap, and nobody at home was sympathetic for bruises. After a few more steps, the darkness shrouded him. He closed his eyes to adjust and block out the fear. The meager lanterns guiding the men hung sporadically between the wooden beams that stabilized the walls and ceiling. The workers shuffled through, breaking off into the connecting tunnels. He followed the last group on its way down. The man-sized basket waited at the hole. Beldagar moved in with 5 other men, and the metal crank dropped them down. The descent was jerky, as usual, scraping against the stone and dirt walls. Every time he feared the basket would fall straight down, but it continued slowly jerking until they jolted against the ground. One man walked ahead, lighting the lanterns. Beldagar liked to remain as close to the light as possible. He looked back and forth toward the cave tunnels where the darkness seeped closer. Rambling whispers echoed off the walls. Beldagar glanced around and rushed closer to the leading man. The hammers and pickaxes started their work. It was his job to clean up the rocks and pile them in the basket to be hauled out. With shaky hands, he picked up the wooden bucket. A shiver rippled up his spine as the whispers returned, haunting him. During every trip back and forth, he hummed to block out the sounds that pierced his ears. He never could understand their message. "Stop," he begged, dropping his bucket. Instinctively, he clasped his ears. There was an intense silence. He hesitated, pulling his hands away, and the words murmured again, but slow. This time, he squeezed his eyes shut, trying to understand. He huddled in the darkness as the words vibrated against him. His chest burned, and a strange glowing rumbled from the walls, breaking his concentration. His eyes flew open, and he snatched up his bucket. The growling persisted, shaking his knees. He eyed the floor and walls, rushing toward the basket. A shadow flickered at the other end of the tunnel. It was mined back only 20 feet, and a small opening curved out of view, but no one ever went that direction. Even the thought of it made him shudder. Whatever evil haunted him lived over there. He could see it frothing from the rock opening. The floor shook, buckling him to his knees and spilling his pail of stones. No one so much as looked his direction. The men continued to strike their picks against the walls, breaking the stone. Did they not feel the shaking? They should be trying to escape. They should be afraid. The clanging and pounding persisted. Beldagar examined all the men while forcing his body to stop shaking. Their faces flexed with each mindless swing. The noise rang painfully in his ears. When he blotted out the sounds with his hands, his vision spun. The next thing he knew, his head struck against the cold mine floor. The darkness spread like thick fog. It enveloped him, and a guttural growl vibrated his insides. His eyes darted wildly for the hidden monster. Then a warmth grew in the cold mine. The ground radiated an intense heat. He peered down at a strange, thick liquid flowing beneath the rock. Something moved within the liquid. In only a fraction of a second, he could see a small portion of the huge scaled beast. He screamed, heat burning his hands and feet. In vain he tried to run while the monster's thick claws, double the size of a man, scratched to get out. Beldagar's eyes flew open as a hand lifted him from the floor. "I'll teach you to sleep while on my watch," Thard said, and the boy braced himself as fists darkened his mind once more. Ba, ba, ba. All right, that's the end of chapter 2. Okay? And I really enjoyed writing this one. So obviously there's something different about Beldagar, and we have not yet discovered it. But he's able to sense things that others cannot. So we'll pile on that little bit of mystery right there as we close this chapter. And tomorrow we will read chapter 3, and its heading is called Rose. So I hope you all enjoyed chapter 2. Please leave comments below, give thumbs up, whatever. And if you're not receiving my emails, please go to my website that's also attached to this and sign up so that you can be aware of any books that are coming out or any special offers. So like I said, right now we're really trying to launch book 4 and this one, the book of Soliticus, okay? So right now they're on a discount for just a couple more days. So go grab a book, and maybe we'll do another quiz next time on some of the characters in the book and see who gets the right answers. I'm going to send a prize to the person who was able to answer my last question. So anyway, I hope you guys all have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate you. Okay, bye.